It's all starting to make sense. The constant
The Indiana Fever are begging supporters to buy tickets for the first time since Caitlin Clark arrived. Seats for preseason games are still available for $280. The home opener has entire sections that are unsold. This identical team sold out in less than an hour last year. The same squad is the most well-liked in women's basketball. Fans are also telling them why they aren't buying. Because they remember the prior season, they are not being tricked once more. When you have the most popular player in women's basketball but are unable to sell out your home opener 1 week before the season starts, does that mean that fans no longer trust the way your team is handling that player? Or are the sole elements at work here the economy and the price of tickets?
I've never seen them ask more. I've never seen them demand more. I've never seen them tweet more. When it comes to ticket sales and trying to sell out an arena, I have never seen the Indiana Fever ask more than they are asking now. And I am beginning.
Let's talk about how Indiana Fever ticket sales are doing right now. Because this is one of those situations where the company refuses to accept what the statistics show. The Fever have been making frequent announcements about ticket availability. They're tweeting. People are being reminded. They are working harder than ever to encourage fans to buy tickets. And this is completely unprecedented for a team that has Caitlin Clark on the roster, and the first 2 years of the Caitlin Clark era, all of the tickets were sold out. In just a few minutes, the first year will be over. In the second year, the same thing occurred. Tickets could not be held by the Fever for an extended period of time. Everyone was hurrying to play games. The secondary market was insane. It was practically hard to obtain tickets at face value due to the high demand. That was the influence of Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever have the best draw in women's basketball, making them the most sought-after club in the WNBA.
No, tickets are moving a little slowly for the Indiana Fever. When you compare it to the first year, flew off the shelves. When you compare it to the second year, hashtag now you know, flew off the shelves. They couldn't keep them long enough. Now, we are a week away from preseason. A lot of tickets available. We are about 2 weeks away from the regular season. A lot of tickets available. Not only are they available, but the Indiana Fever, these tickets are high. Like, I wouldn't spend that much.
But now that the regular season is 2 weeks away and the preseason is 1 week away, there are a ton of tickets available. Not just nosebleed seats. Not just any old games during the week. There is a lot of unoccupied space in the home opener versus the Dallas Wings. There are still seats available on the upper deck for more than $100. The intermediate pieces are between $300 and $400. Seats behind the bench cost between $700 and $900. And nobody is buying. Even worse, preseason tickets range in price from $100 to $280. Before the season, practice games are used to evaluate uncountable games rotations, and starters may only play for a short while. The Fever also charges $280 for those seats. That is a ridiculous price for games that are nothing more than glorified scrimmages. Fans are also rejecting the accusations. The Fever and its allies will now bring up the economics. Gas prices have gone up, airfare is expensive. The cost of living has gone up. The supermarket is uncaring. All of that is accurate. Economic factors certainly have an impact on discretionary spending, like buying sports tickets. That is undeniable. But here's the issue. The economy was challenging last year as well. Inflation has been an issue for a long time. But tickets for the previous season were still immediately sold out. So what has changed? Why are individuals hesitant to buy tickets this year while they were willing to spend a lot of money the previous year? The answer is trust. Or more accurately, the fans' complete lack of trust in the team as a result of how they handled Caitlin Clark in the previous season.
Worth the squeeze, especially when you don't know the role of your favorite player. People remember last year. day to day, day to day, day to day, day to day, and they would spend tickets and spend.
And let's talk about what happened the year before, which is why many are currently reluctant to buy tickets. Caitlin Clark was hurt. The squad went into daily mode with her status. Every game had some element of unpredictability. Is she enjoying herself? Is she not enjoying herself? Not till well before tip-off was it known. Fans who bought tickets weeks or months ahead of time would also show up at games only to find that Clark wasn't playing.
Stephanie White said before the game that the fact that she is day-to-day means that the imaging she got today is good news.
The fan in the source material claims that their favorite players weren't playing. They traveled to Indianapolis with a friend, bought tickets in advance, and slept at a hotel across the street from the arena. It's an awful experience. The cost of airfares is your responsibility. You book a hotel. You buy tickets. You invest time, effort, and energy in seeing Caitlin Clark perform. When you get there, she's not even inside the building. Another fan stated that they bought tickets at the start of the season, paid outrageous rates, spent a costly evening in Indianapolis, and took their family to 4 games following Caitlin's injury. They're also taking a wait-and-see approach this year to prevent being burned again. That sentiment is currently killing ticket sales. Fans remember being used. They remember feeling as though Caitlin Clark was being used as a circus act by the group to keep people interested and attending due to the way the Fever was behaving. They would announce Caitlin's impending return. Fans would buy tickets for that game. Then, right before the game, they would add, actually, she needs another week or 2. But the tickets were already sold. The money was already in the Fever's pocket. In addition, a reduced lineup greeted fans who came to games wanting to see Clark. And by August, the team was completely devastated by injuries. Fans, however, had already committed to paying. There were already plans in place. They had previously paid to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. Additionally, the corporation took advantage of this by making supporters wait for unclear injury updates and daily status reports, which never gave them precise information about the profitability of their investment.
About this last groin injury with Caitlin Clark is how it's been covered. The day after she had the groin injury, she was listed as day-to-day, and then a couple weeks after that, then she was listed to being out indefinitely. Now, ESPN had August 12th as the circled return date for Caitlin Clark to get back onto the court, and just yesterday, she was listed as a game time decision for today's game against the Dallas Wings, and then after practice yesterday, Coach Stephanie White basically came out and said, like, no, Caitlin Clark hasn't even been practicing, so they changed it from a game time decision to her being out. This has been all over the place, and I get it to a certain extent. The fans, the media does not need to know every little thing that's going on with Caitlin Clark's injuries, especially a star player like that. We will never know all the information, nor should we know all the information, and that's actually good for Caitlin. It protects her for when she does come back on the court. She can't be targeted. Teams can't use a certain injury or ailment against her if people don't really know what is going on. But the reporting of her timeline in general, there has been no rhyme or reason to what has.
People remember that. If you treat your clientele that way, you can't expect them to come back the next year with open wallets. Establishing trust is hard, but undermining it is easy. The Indiana Fever's reputation was badly harmed by the manner they handled Caitlin Clark's injury and the information around it last season. Moreover, it extends beyond the treatment of injuries. The squad used Clark on the court while she was well. Fans would anticipate seeing Caitlin Clark, the best player in women's basketball, lead the offense, make plays, score points, and do all those things. Instead, they would watch her run off the ball while doing cardio. They would watch her from the corners. Stephanie White would play her at small forward while other guards handled the ball. Fans paid top price to see the Caitlin Clark experience. They got the Stephanie White show, in which the coach's ideas about how basketball should be played took precedence over taking advantage of Caitlin Clark's special abilities. Fans remember it as well. They remember thinking, I paid how much money to watch Caitlin Clark set screens. Add anything that has happened during this off-season. The team already has the best point guard in the world, so adding 8 guards seems inexplicable. Raven Johnson was selected at number 10 when they required size. Amber Cox talks about limiting Caitlin's time. Stephanie White asserts that she is better knowledgeable because she has worked with Caitlyn for 25 years. On Twitter, Lynn Dunn chastised fans who questioned roster choices. All of this leads to a business that seems more focused on showcasing their superior intelligence than on actually growing around their generational potential. Fans take note of that. They read those quotes. They watch those interviews. They know what goes on behind the scenes. They are also making the wise decision to wait to make any investments until they can see how this season plays out. Because what if my and Caitlyn's purchases have a time limit? If the club wishes to develop Raven Johnson, what would happen if she played 25 minutes instead of 35? What would happen if they paid hundreds of dollars for lodging, travel, and tickets only to see the team's best player get suffocated by Stephanie White's slow, controlled offense the year before? These are valid concerns based on actual data from the prior season and true statements made by the organization. This off-season fans are not behaving inappropriately. They are protecting themselves from burns in the future. Before I give you my money, they are saying, show me this is going to be different. The economics of it are also significant. These tickets are extremely expensive. Upper deck seats cost $100, while seats behind the bench cost $300 to $400, $700 to $900, and 4 intermediate parts. NBA prices are those. Due to Caitlyn's injury, the Fever are charging high market premium franchise rates for a club that finished 10 to 34 the previous season. You can charge those prices when customers are confident they will receive the item they are buying. But when that trust is violated and individuals have already been disappointed, such rates suddenly look far less acceptable. Why would someone pay $280 for a preseason ticket when there's a real chance Caitlyn plays for a short while as the starters rest? Why would someone pay $400 for a regular season game last year when they couldn't even watch her play? The Fever is being taught a harsh lesson about customer relations. It is impossible to presume that demand will never change. You can't take fans for granted. They are not manageable like ATMs, which you can shake whenever you need money. Because soon they won't trust you. Eventually they'll say, I'm good on that. And that's exactly what's happening. When the most attractive player in women's basketball is on your team, it is embarrassing to have 70% of the tickets sold. There isn't a supply issue. That is not how the economy operates. It comes down to trust. When fans say things like, they are casting their votes with their money. We have doubts about your ability to provide what we are paying for. Comparing this to previous year makes it much more noticeable. Last year's home opener sold out in less than an hour. Tickets for this year's home opener are sold out a week before the game. It's a loud discrepancy. That is hardly a tiny drop. That is a big drop in demand. And it's happening while Caitlyn Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston are still on the team. The roster appears to be better than it was the season before. So why aren't fans making purchases? Because they are skeptical of the organization's capacity to make effective use of its roster. They don't believe Stephanie White will take full advantage of Caitlyn Clark. They don't think the front office will prioritize winning above proving their process works. They don't trust that the money they spend will provide the entertainment value they expect. On Twitter, Lynn Dunn then refers their fans as whiners. That is the cherry on top of this disaster. A company is struggling to sell tickets and has clearly done something to erode fan trust. A front office executive is classifying critics and telling them to stop talking instead than addressing these problems. Do you know what happens when companies behave that way? Fans lose interest even more. They remark, "Oh, you think I complain too much? Let me show you what happens when I don't show up at all." That's what happened with the Mets when Steve Cohen criticized fans for not paying enough money. Attendance was declining. Do you believe that we don't spend enough? Asked admirers. Watch as we make no purchases. The Indiana Fever are following the same path. They are losing their fanbase because they disregard legitimate criticism, make irrational roster decisions, and treat their star player in ways that annoy people who pay to watch her. At the moment, they are using ticket sales to cover the cost. The Fever organization needs to understand this reality. Because of Caitlyn Clark, they became more significant. She was the reason they had sold out venues. She improved their product sales, national awareness, and media coverage. She did not, however, provide them steadfast loyalty. Fans came because they wanted to see Caitlin Clark perform at her best. When the organization prevents it from occurring, mistreats her, limits her, or plays her in ways that don't fully maximize her strengths, fans take notice. Rear year. And at that moment T.